And alive.
Yeah, we are.
I say that all the time. I guess it just makes me feel like a director or something.
Huh.
Although I ain't directing crap. So, before I even get started, I want to point out I don't think you were here when I did this. This was Copic markers. So, when I glazed over it, I used the fluid matte medium.
Yeah.
It smeared the Copic marker, the black, specifically the black.
Yeah.
Okay, it just thinned it down and watered it down, but it smeared it on the first pass.
Huh.
I did several passes. Uh, I didn't use as thick of a medium as that they had available. They had a paste. I didn't use the paste. I bought the fluid medium,
Hmm.
cheaper,
Hmm.
and still I spent $40. I bought one tube of paint and
Wow.
that. So I'm going to use a couple of different colors this time. Green gold, which will give it kind of an eerie tint. I want to have that swampy flavor. Make people from DC feel right at home.
Huh.
So it's really good if you do a wash with this. It kind of looks like the kind of evil, dark Dungeons and Dragons type thing. So I think I want to do that in the background. I might want to wash the whole thing, but I think maybe after. So I've got the red, cadmium white, which is a brighter red than I normally would want to use, but I do have some quinacridone magenta, which I bought on YouTube of, and that's not cheap. For the inside of his mouth and part of his lips. If it's too warm of a color, I'm going to dull it down with the quinacridone magenta. That's for the viewers, not for you, because I'm sure you probably figured that out already.
You never know. I could be clueless. It's all good.
Well, you've had some art instructions, so you got. I'm sure you have a clue about some art theory or color theory. I mean, you may not have an in-depth.
I may not be practicing. That doesn't mean I don't have a clue.
Right.
So
I'm saying I'm pretty sure you knew that when I was talking about quinacridone magenta, the idea was to cool it off.
I don't know. I'm getting ready to teach Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut, and just doing research stuff. And then now I'm like, well, Kurt Vonnegut did art.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he has a very distinctive style, but
yeah, it's comedy.
well, there's that. I mean, they're more caricature type things.
I'm playing with that. What's that?
They're kind of caricatures. I mean, it's not realistic.
Right.
But like,
you don't have to be, to illustrate an idea anyway.
Right. Well, some of it's great. I mean, some of it I'm like, I'm not a fan, but okay, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, just the fact that he has this cat butt that becomes kind of like a market, like a trademarked image of his, just kind of makes me laugh.
So is Walmart. I was talking about that.
I know.
Walmart's kind of like a cat butt.
I know.
A piston cat butt.
Oh.
Who wrecked on?
Oh.
Huh. You ain't funny. Shut up. I call you whatever I want to.
Don't like it?
Yeah, you don't like it? What are you going to do?
From the outhouse.
Get the Get the fuck out. He didn't say fuck, he said funk, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a funk out.
That's an extreme song.
Yep, that's exactly what he's talking about because I played around with him with that idea. It just struck me funny.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do this.
Oh my gosh. So our school got a grant that will pay teachers to come before school and stay after school for tutoring, right?
Oh yeah, you were saying that.
So today was the first day that I did the morning shift. And that sucks, but it was also like the easiest money I've ever earned. So the hardest part is waking up.
Did it suck or was it the easiest money you ever earned?
Well, it's just waking up. It's just waking up and then staying up. Yeah. That's what I think. I'm not getting paid to be there. I'm getting paid to wake up.
Yeah, I get that too.
Oh. As my wife keeps saying, yeah, it sucks now until you see your paycheck. I'm like, yeah.
Let's hope that's the case.
Well, the only problem with it is, you know, I got bills. So I'm going to see that money and then I'm going to say, bye, money. It was nice making you. And then it leaves. But at least I can pay the bills.
Anyone watching that's curious, I've taped the corners of this down and this part down because it'll tend to bubble up because it is paper, even though it's a thick paper. So when you're painting layers and layers and layers over it, that's basically kind of watered down. If you tape down the edges first, it'll stay flatter. Definitely does some new and interesting things when it's going over this gray Copic, huh?
Yeah. Kind of gets green.
Well, hopefully it's green.
Well, I mean, it becomes greener green.
Oh, over the gray, because, yeah. That's the... Anders Zorn palette, where instead of using blue, you're using black.
Yeah.
Because it's got a component in it.
Ooh.
Chad dinged me telling me why he's not on here tonight.
Hey, it's Ephraim! Ephraim has
right.
some girls Lezzaro.
Well, I started the music, but I didn't.
I knew something was missing.
Yeah, right.
So, yesterday, when I was asking you about what made that story feel like a Star Trek story, because I mean, you had flat out said it. And then in the critique of that story, you said it felt like a Star Trek episode.
Yeah, well, yeah, it felt like a Star Trek.
Well, that's fine. I mean, that's cool. I mean, my thing was...
I don't know if that was what you were going for, but Star Trek covered a lot of... It covered a lot. Like, it did some kind of horror version sci-fi, and it did some...
I know.
Utopian sci-fi. It did pretty much all aspects of sci-fi, right?
But, like... and that's fine. Like, trust me, like I wasn't upset by you saying that in any way, shape, or form, other than
Good,
the
'cause I
fact
didn't
that
want to upset you.
no, you didn't. You didn't. Not in any way. I promise. And even like there was something that Jake said that kind of touched a nerve, which I wasn't upset. It's just I was like, okay, you're not getting it, I guess, which kind of bothers me. And the two kind of play together because he said something about, the captain walks away and he's okay with being basically smarted off to by his engineer. He's like, a CEO would not accept that. And I'm like, yeah, it's because he may be the captain, but he's not the. I mean, it's not military.
So.
And so when you were talking about,
yeah, Jake is a Marine.
Well, that's fine, and I understand that.
I just didn't know if you knew that. So when he's talking about it from the viewpoint of a Marine.
Well, I mean, the funny part was the part he commented on. I had written it one way, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds." I wrote it the way Jake would have liked it, but I was like, "No, that's not right, because that's way too military, and this isn't a military vessel." So it's kind of funny. So I changed it.
It sounds like it is. The way that the story presents it does sound like it's a military vessel.
Well, and that was one of the things. That's why I was thrilled with the critique. Like, even though you told me something that I didn't necessarily want to hear, like, I was already worried that this was already sounding too much like a military vessel. And you guys just confirmed it, which is...
Yeah, right?
It's like, well, okay, that's fine, whatever. I mean, I'll address it, fix it once the story's done.
Info dump in chapter 2. I was afraid that was going to be, that it was going to look like an info dump, and that's the first thing you said. It looked like an info dump. Jake was like, it's looking info dump, but it's a necessary info dump. It's right. So.
Right. Well, that's one of those things. It's kind of funny as writers, like we start noticing, like what's going on with your own story, but you're hoping that you're wrong, and then someone critiques it, and you're not wrong, and it's like, well, on one hand, I like being right, but on the other hand, I really wanted to be wrong. So it was just kind of funny.
Really wanted it to slip past the censors, but you know that me, Jay, you, and Mark are a little bit accustomed to each other's work that way. So I think that's kind of harder to make it slide by us.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's a good thing. Like that's a valuable, a bit of information. Like it's none of us are going to let the other one get by with shit, and that helps.
And that's what we're there for, right?
Right. But last night when you're like, I hope I'm not, you're not getting stuck on this, and I'm like, nope, not.
Well, yeah, what I hope is that it didn't stop you in your tracks and make you go, oh, now I got to start all over, and I got to think of something different, because your plot's your plot no matter what. How you achieve that plot, it just depends on, like you fleshing out your characters. If you want them to look like more of the Firefly type of feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to employ that characterization, because without that characterization, Firefly is just a ripoff of Star Wars. I've heard it from a lot of people that don't get Firefly, that that's just Han Solo in his own ship.
Yeah.
Except for that they lost the war, which is not the same.
Right.
That losing the war is a big factor, but to the uninitiated, it doesn't make any difference. That's all they're saying. They're probably liking the interaction, and that's why they're related to Han Solo, is because he's the smart ass, right?
Right. Well, again, even some of the stuff that you had said, because you had mentioned, like different military ranks, and I'm like, I don't want military rank. Then you'd mention like one is like a first mate, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
well, what I'm saying, like the military ranks. Okay, so if you're a deep space vessel and there's certain rules and regulations, and there's a bunch of ships that have those certain rules and regulations, people are already going to think it's military because the military is one common set of rules and regulations.
right.
But even like merchant class ships in the 1800s were basically set up like a military style because that was what ruled the seas. And remember, before the U.S. even, both the English and the Spanish were pressing people into their navies.
Yeah.
And navies have been around since ancient Greece.
Right.
So when we're talking about it in that form, that's where we're getting what we're getting. Like we're not going, it has to be the Starfleet or whatever. It's just Starfleet is based on, it's a military vessel.
Right.
Because any fleet, any conglomeration is going to be a militaristic conglomeration of vessels. If there are a whole bunch of them. Even if they're like a private corporation or whatever, it's still going to be like military contractors. They're still going to behave in the same kinds of manners.
Now you're making me wonder if I started too late. Actually.
Well, that, am I making you wonder or are you making me wonder? Because I'm only talking about organization, which...
Yeah, I know. It's just that... So
I guess the main thing that makes us think that you might want to consider is that you're discussing their primary objective is the survivors, and that sounds like it's a military thing. You don't care about the personal, private issues. You just care about, the survivors and the other ship members. So you're kind of using kind of a military description when you're talking about it from pretty much the start.
Well, that's fine. You've seen Alien, right? I mean, like, I'm not crazy. You've seen Alien, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen Alien, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you know that scene where they're like, they don't want to, like, they get her distress signal and they don't want to go because they're like, screw that. Like, we're on our way home. I just want to get home. And they're like, well, if we do that, we lose our commissions. Like, they're completely civilian on this ship.
But they're in a company. And
well, there's a company ship
too, because there's a hierarchy on that ship, Bishop. If you watch it for it, you'll find it, but it is set up like that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they make a big point that they're civilians.
Yeah.
So
they are civilian, but they still have rules.
Right, I get that, but I just think that if I can establish,
they have Marines with them.
Well, the second one, yeah, it's completely different. But I'm saying the first one, they're 100% civilian, but there are, like, they talk about how, yeah, it's required by law that they respond to a distress signal, or they lose
their charter.
Yeah, their charter or their pay or something. I mean, they're there only because their paycheck is threatened. Like, they've done a job and they're going home, and they won't get paid for the job if they ignore the distress signal.
So that is based in history.
That's fine. I'm simply saying something like that might establish more about the not so military style thing.
Establish, so you need to start earlier, not later, right?
Right. I started too late.
because only because you didn't establish that they weren't military.
Right.
You might do it the other way and say we have no military obligation to blah blah blah.
Right.
We're a civilian contractor, but then you have to answer the question of what the hell are they doing there?
Right. I swear to God, dog. If you came up here to ask me to put you out when there are other people here, I swear she does this every time. There are 3 other people in this house. At least one of them is downstairs. I am upstairs. So she had to come upstairs to say, hello, Newsman, you're my favorite. Put me outside. Let's see. Here's the big test. You want to go potty? Oh, I'll be back in a minute.
Of course. Now there's at least one viewer. Who's that? Is that still a frame viewing? Oh, that's a worrisome sound.
And I'm back.
Welcome back.
Oh. Every time.
Well, that's love anyway, right?
It's just. Ugh. Sometimes it's like, dog, why are you making this more difficult on both of us? But, you know, she's a dog, doesn't quite understand, well, anything. So,
Right?
what are you going to do?
Take her out. Shut her up.
Yeah, I know. Obey my master and put her out.
Well, you know, dogs have unconditional love, unlike cats, right? Of course, our cat thinks he's my cat. He lays across my feet and yowls at me at all hours of the day. Come up and nudge my hand while I'm trying to eat. All the things dogs usually do, right?
Biscuits has started, like she'll push on my arm because she can reach it when like I'm using my mouse or typing. And I'm like, dog. There are very few things that I mean, if I was somewhere else and she was doing that, I'd be like, oh, that's sweet, dog. But here, I'm like, no, this is not the place for that. Oh my gosh, did I tell you about the greatest typo I ever made?
It sounds interesting.
Okay, you got to understand I'm teaching freshmen, right? And like this happened last week. And I'm going through and I'm giving them this exercise on point of view. And when I made it, I went online and I found book excerpts, and I would take a chunk and I would put it in the question, and you just have to tell me is it first, second, or third person, right? So that's fine. I don't know if I typed one instead of copied it, but instead of saying put your crispy treats in the oven, it was put your crispy teats in the oven.
Ooh.
And that's up on my screen. I get right to that word and I just start laughing because, I mean, at that point, there's nothing I can do. It's already done.
But then you can illustrate the importance of typos.
Yeah. Well, but they're freshmen, so half of them don't even know what the word means, which also makes me laugh.
Right.
Because they just think I'm just crazy or something. And it's like, well, whatever. This is why you have to have proofreaders. So.
It certainly helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the best part was I have this shirt that says keep clam and proofread on, and that's the shirt I was wearing. So I'm wearing keep clam instead of keep calm.
Ah.
But just moves the L, which
makes
me laugh because half the time I get students who are like, keep calm. I'm like, no, that's not what you read. Yeah, that's what's on your shirt. No, it's not.
Read that again slowly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the freshmen are kind of easy to mess with. And I'm always kind of shocked because a lot of teachers don't want to teach freshmen. And I'm like, generally, I'm down for it. Like, especially the upper level ones. I'm like, no, they're fun.
Too easy, right?
I think it's a case of there is no one particular class that's better than another. It's just whatever happens to be your personality and, you know, the kinds of things that you like. So, you know, like I like teaching American Lit and I like my juniors, but I also really like my freshmen way better than sophomores.
That's an interesting observation.
The sophomores are all jaded and think they know everything, but they're just as dumb as the freshmen. So they just have bad attitudes. It's like you're dumb and you have a bad attitude, whereas the freshmen are just dumb, and their attitudes are normally great. So
freshmen are dumb, but they have an excuse.
Well, it's just one of those things, you know. They haven't learned. They're there because they don't know, and that's okay. But you definitely don't want it when it's they think they know everything and they don't know squat, and you're just like, kid, like, don't be dumb. I want to be called into the office. Were you online saying your students are dumb? Like, so you found that video.
Would that be good or bad?
Yeah. Actually, my classes have been really good. Like, they've already had a couple projects due, and they've been like just better than I expected. Like overall, all my classes are just doing just better than I expected. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's not me, it's them. So this is just so far, it's been a very good year. I really can't complain.
That sounds good.
There have been years where that has not been the case at all. So
why am I not surprised?
Really, I don't care how talented or skilled a student is. It's really more about their attitude. Some years it's just like, what is wrong with you? Did your parents have any children they didn't drop on the floor repeatedly? So other years, like this one, it's fantastic. Have you ever read Slaughterhouse-Five?
No, like we were talking about that last time. I asked you a couple questions, remember?
Well, it's a weird book. I mean, there's no getting around it. It's weird. The main character is unstuck in time, or at least he thinks he is, and he thinks he's been kidnapped by aliens, and the aliens they don't see time linearly. Like, they're more, if you've ever watched The Watchmen, where Dr. Manhattan talks about how he sees everything that's coming and everything that was all at the same time.
Yeah,
that's kind of how the time stuff works in this book. And it's about a guy. I mean, he survives the firebombing of Dresden because they're holed up in a slaughterhouse, and it's just weird. Like, it's going to blow the freshmen minds. Like, they're just going to be, and I'm going to enjoy every moment. What?
If they pay attention.
Well, okay. If they don't, that's not really, I mean, at that point, it's like, well, catch it next time, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. Some of that stuff, you just have
like, not to be, that way, but when you say it's going to blow their minds, it all depends on if they put their minds into it, because a lot of freshmen don't wanna.
I know.
You say that's a different class, though? Like it's an advanced class or something?
Yeah, it's like a pre-AP class. Now, some of them are never making it to my AP class. Like, just, it's like, this is the end of the 4th week, and one of my kids has like a 15%, and I'm like, I don't care how smart you are, you haven't done anything. Like, you're gonna fail this class if you don't get the work done. And he's not. I mean, I'm gonna give him every opportunity possible to get the work. Plus, I'm available for school, after school, at that study table and everything. And he goes to those, and then he just talks to his friends. It's like, why are you coming? So,
you just got your answer, though.
Well, I know, he's just there to talk to his friends, but I'm like, you got a phone, you got their ad, it's like, you can be talking anywhere. Why here? You want parental supervision? What? Like, I just don't get it. So, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. Even as a high school student, I wouldn't have put up with some. I mean, if I was going to stay after school for something, I wanted to, do it and get done so that I was done. Not, well, let's screw around here and then I still have to go home and do it, or I'm just not going to have it done. So, I can't imagine ever getting a 15% in a class. I don't care what class it is. And I was not the most studious student ever, but, I got enough grief for a C. Dear Lord, having an F, and a bad F at that? No way. I would not be alive.
I went through a stage where I didn't give a shit what anybody thought about when it came to education. I had to live with what I had to live with, and they didn't. So, I mean, that ain't really saying anything, but I do understand the plight of kids that want to have an escape.
No, that's fine, but
Or are smarter than they behave.
ooh,
Again, that's not saying it's right or wrong or whatever, but just saying that I've kind of got a level of understanding.
ooh.
Early mornings are a killer, huh?
It's the yeah.
Huh?
I'm tired. I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna be tired until I get used to this.
That's what I just said. The early
Yeah.
early mornings are a killer, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and they want me to. My boys are part of Quiz Bowl, which is cool and all. Dig it, but they're wanting me, not the boys, but the other coaches want me to coach with them. And it's a paid position and all, and that's great, but it's like, yeah, it also means I have to go places and stay late. You know, it's like I don't want to give up tutoring money because it ain't that much money not to coach. Plus, I think it's like a quarter of the stipend because if I were to do it, yeah, I'm the fourth person, so it's a quarter of the overall stipend. So you're just watering it down. It's like, ugh. And I don't know, I get real anxious if I don't think I can do a good job. Our athletic director wanted me to be the sponsor for the mascot, which basically means the adult in charge of making sure the mascot is where he's supposed to be. And he's like, I want the mascot being everywhere the cheerleaders are, and that includes the away games. Now, most schools don't send the mascot to away games.
No, not generally. But that's
and our athletic director, for some weird freakish reason, wants to do that. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. Like, I can't even guarantee the kid that wears the suit's going to be there. And he's like, well, you need to find more than one person that'll do it. I'm like, yeah, no. Like, that's just, I mean, I asked around for a couple kids that I thought might, and none of them wanted to. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because, you know, if you don't want to do it, then you shouldn't be doing it. But like, there is no way. Like, I just told the guys, like, if I don't think I can do a good job, I'm not accepting the job. Just, you know, like, I'm not going to try to rip you off, basically. Which I don't think was the response he wanted. But, I mean, what are you going to do? I'm being honest and upfront. I don't think I can do the job that you want. Therefore, you should not have me do the job. because
How
in
can
the
I
long
put
run,
this in a way that you'll understand but won't be offended by?
right?
See, I don't bother with that. I just say fuck off.
Well, I mean, I've got department chair duties. I've got, I mean, I'm already.
Yeah.
I mean, parental duties as well. I mean, I still have to be there for my kids, and English is not a class that you can. I mean, the grading for English tends to be longer than most things. I mean, it is. So, there's no way. Whew. Oh. Hey, Jake!
Hey. I thought he was busy and he wasn't going to show.
Says I'll be in and out on the stream tonight.
Where were you when we were talking about you?
I know. We were talking about him, saying all kinds of mean things. Nothing. Jake, I think we're good. He's asking how we are. Fantastic.
I've been worse. I don't know if I'd say fantastic, but it's much better than my lung strings. I hate lung strings.
No. I'm ready for bed. Oh, I'm old. Ugh. Yeah, but it's kind of weird when I think about, all right, I can sleep in for like another half hour, maybe 45 minutes, or I could go earn money. He said he has to go run a load of laundry downstairs, and knowing Jake's family, that's got to be a ton of laundry. And he says that character is looking really vivid.
That means I gotta damp it down some.
Ugh. Ugh.
Wow.
I am just not as young as I used to be. Man, I should not be this tired. It's not like I did physical labor.
No, I'm glad you know. I'm glad you know you enjoy the stream.
Ugh. Yeah, it's funny because I mean, so I'm not tutoring until 5:30, and then I get home, and my wife wants to go to the grocery. I was like, all right, fine, let's go. So we go to the grocery. Then on the way home, she's like, I kind of want to go to the other grocery. All right, let's drop off these and go to the other grocery.
What does the other grocery mean?
Well, we were at Meijer, got the first time, and there are certain things I can buy there, which I did. But then she wanted stuff that was only at Walmart, so we had to go to Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, there were things there that I could get that I couldn't get at Meijer, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But by the time we got home, like it's like 7 o'clock, maybe 7:11, and I never got lunch today, so I'm dying. Like, just running low on fuel. Well, the good thing is I bought a rotisserie chicken, and I just inhaled that thing. But you know, then it was like, oh crap. That's why I was so like I was never on my computer to even respond to you. That's why I said just call me Joe, because I was doing it right at the last minute.
Yeah, right.
And Joe, if you're watching, we loved you for every moment of it. So, not making fun, just what I was doing.
Joe said that he got Saturday off,
That's cool.
which, you know, like, I'm sure he's glad to have the extra hours,
Yeah.
but his vehicle broke down. I'm pretty sure he don't really like that.
Ugh.
And that's the last I heard from Joe. He's picking up some extra hours, so I don't know. I don't really know even when he gets the message, if he gets the message. Sometimes he answers, sometimes it ain't for days. I had Eli help with that medium on here. So he felt like he was involved. And you really can't screw that up. Okay. If you can, I'll find a way to do it anyway. So I went back over that script
Yeah.
because what something Jake noticed, because he doesn't have any clue about comic strips and all that. Scripts, not scripts. That the double page spread that I had went from an uneven page to an even page, which means you have to turn the page to get the double page spread, one on one page and one on the other, so it wouldn't work.
Oh, that's smart, Jake. Always noticing things.
Well, I don't know if he noticed that in particular or just made me notice that because he mentioned something about double page spread.
Oh. That is not something I was even thinking of.
Right. And because he said that, because what he said was he questioned double page spread.
Yeah.
I don't think he specifically said why he was questioning it. He just as if he almost didn't understand what it meant. He said later on, I think that he was thinking that in particular. But when he said it, that's not what I got out of it. It made me think about it, and I was like, now that I mention it, it can't start on page 7 and go on page 8. That's not possible. Not if you're going to do a double page spread.
Wait. If it starts on 7. Oh, wait.
Right.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Because page 1 faces you, and the leaf of the book is page 0.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to think about that. It's like, no, wait.
Right, and that's what I was saying. Like, without him mentioning it, I didn't think about that at all. But once he did mention it, that's what I noticed. I'm like, shit. Now I gotta go back and rethink that.
Oh, crap.
So ultimately, I'm glad he did mention it.
Jake's back. He says, just like me to show up and walk away within 2 minutes. Hey, I know what you're talking about. It's the spread.
Right.
Inside front cover equals page 0. That is true.
What?
Nothing. He's right.
Oh, yeah. Inside.
Yeah.
Inside front cover equals page 0. That was my point in you can't start on an odd page because the left-hand page would have to be an even page. It's something I wouldn't have thought of if he didn't say something. So.
Yeah, that's, like I said, I didn't think about that at all. Like, that's something my wife might have thought about if I had showed it to her, because, that's kind of what she's been doing for a while, but anyway. Gosh darn it.
My wife once pointed it out too if she actually read anything I wrote.
No. Most of the stuff I write, my wife doesn't like because it's just she doesn't like fantasy and she doesn't like science fiction all that much. Oh. Well, this looks interesting. A friend of mine messaged me about a Google extension. I thought I had saved where I had found it. That makes sense. Now I can't remember where I put it, and I don't remember what it's called, and I'm basically useless. I'll find it here in a minute. I just got to go through them. I mean, I know it's part of a group, but there was I'll I'll probably be sharing something with you here in a little bit. Because I just saw a submission call that you might be interested in.
Yeah, I just shared that one that I was talking to you about in that Slack.
I actually have to do a search in a stupid group. I hate that.
What shirt are you wearing, Brett?
What shirt am I wearing?
You're
Oh,
a Moxie shirt.
well, that's because it's based on Moxie, but it's Marion. You know, where I work. Also, every year I subject my AP students to all the ones that stick in both semesters. Once the add drop period is over in second semester, I celebrate those who have stuck around by giving them a shot of Moxie,
But
which, you know, is gross and disgusting, which I have to drink too. So it's not like I'm just watching them and laughing, but it's, I don't know, it's just something different.
so it
Like
just
it.
depends, because like my wife likes it, but she likes it when she's sick.
Oh, so she
But
can't
I
taste
can
it?
kind of get that because it kind of tastes like cough medicine.
Yeah, I always tell students it's like Diet Coke and Vicks Vapor Rub had a child who would be called Moxie.
Hmm.
So,
I kind of thought it was more like Southern Comfort without the kick.
so
Or,
it's
you know, black licorice if you really want to get honest.
yeah.
Also,
see that.
Ouzo has that kind of taste. If you're a fan and looking for alcohol with that taste. I should add, if you're a fan and looking for alcohol for that taste, I also am sorry for you.
I found it without having to do a Google search. I'm so excited. I hate Google searches.
Well, there's other searches. You don't have to use Google.
Well, I'm just, yeah, whatever. That's not what I mean. I mean, I hate using searches on, like, when you go to a group, and, like, the AP group on Facebook, which is awesome. It's a great group. Love it. Lots of resources. I mean, sometimes it gets annoying because, you know, it's a bunch of teachers, and, you know, they talk about teacher crap, and there are times where I'm like, yeah, but I don't care about any of that. But overall, you know, there are a lot of resources and there are a lot of files, like tons of them, like every day. Like, oh, I tried this PowerPoint, or I did this slide presentation, or this is my lesson on whatever, which is great. Like, I love it, but sometimes when you saw something last week, it takes forever to find, and searching on Facebook is not easy. Jake does not know what Moxie is. Well, Jake, you're missing out.
Not really.
It's like America's oldest cola. It's older than Coke, older than Pepsi. It's probably still the original batch because that's how bad it tastes. And
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. It's older than Coke.
yeah, it is. I'm pretty certain it's the oldest one.
Coke is pretty old. And Moxie's been around for a long time. But there's a Moxie festival in Lisbon, and you'd think that would be a claim that they would be making all over the place if it was a
Moxie
real.
dates to 1884, 2 years before Coca-Cola.
Okay.
So they took, the concept of a cola, and they made it taste good with Coke.
Yeah, and get you high.
Yes, you had the spelling of Moxie correct, although it's capitalized because it's a proper noun. You know that.
Yeah.
And it's just like the English word for like
Shit.
spunk or temerity, whatever. Yeah, it's got.
Just like the New England word for garbage.
I don't know what gentian root is or gentian root or whatever it is, but your left shift is broken. Time for a new keyboard. Yes, I can imagine how miserable that makes typing.
What?
Jake said his left shift is broken, and that makes his typing miserable. Which is kind of surprising because I've read your prose. It's very, very clean. So, it's even more impressive now.
Types it on his phone.
Yeah, as I understand it, Moxie was, it was around first before Pepsi or Coke. But back when you had soda jerks, like Pepsi or Coke, you could give some cute little things looking to, get a drink, give her a couple extra shots of Coke or Pepsi and, it just tastes better. Whereas Moxie, it made it taste worse. So Moxie never really spread like Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of people that like it. For me, I understand, like I said, I understand my wife likes it when she's sick because,
Yeah.
it tastes like cough medicine, but
Who you calling a jerk? That's a bad, bad pun.
what?
Jake said, who are you calling a jerk? Because I said soda jerks.
Wow.
The real name of that profession.
He hates those cans.
Oh, goodness.
I'm surprised at how many people don't get that reference. But, that was a different time. I gotta go. What do you think I do? Sit around and write letters all day?
Jake, I think it's time for you to get a new device. Your screen is starting to crack, and the D is starting to fail, and the shift is already gone. I'm just saying, maybe it's time to let go.
Wait a minute. The D is starting to fail? I
Yeah.
wouldn't have put that online.
Well, They have pills for that. Oh, goodness. I'm pretty sure I could last just a little longer. Oh, goodness.
See that? Now he's talking about those pills.
Don't be a ick. I see what you did there.
You mean you see what he did there?
Oh, Lord. I love me. I'm a clever SOB, don't you? Yeah, you are. Oh, I see. The D works now. The D works because he loves himself.
Gabe Al-Taid, Jake, is a comic skater that has been involved in some kerfuffle.
Oh, this is interesting.
He was working with David Williams, and they had a disagreement, and he ended that disagreement without actually waiting for any response.
Jake, I'm just glad that your D works. I don't care what makes it work. That's you, man. I posted something on Slack. You guys can see.
Yeah, so did Jake. I've actually seen that too. I was kind of addressing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because what he posted was a link with Gabe Al-Taid. You know, he's a comic skater, colorist, and writer. He said he saw it in your last entry.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Although that's not where I got that from.
Worked because last century.
Yeah, really.
Although we're getting up there. You can tell if we're having problems with our D's working. I look black egg.
Jake, I got that name from.
Oh, black egg.
I got that name from the grand eloquent word of the day.
What's that?
The Hiraeth? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm like, oh, hey, that's the last name of one of my characters.
Oh.
He had mentioned it on the critique, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was something else I was gonna say, but I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. Um, but it probably would be helpful to know. None of
Well,
your characters, none of your characters have a regular name. Like they all seem to have something non-American. Nobody has like a regular.
oh, there was a Williams. It might have been.
What's their first name?
I don't remember because I barely use them. And Kirby is
Okay.
fine. Kirby's a normal name. Dr. Kirby. I think it's Kate Kirby. I don't know if I ever actually use her first name. I'd have to
No.
look.
But you go back and forth from Dr. Kirby to regular Kirby.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I was bad about that.
When you say Kirby Crackle, it cracks me up because that's a standard comic book art thing. Tool.
Yeah.
The Kirby Crackle.
But I gotta find it now. I can find my Bible of the story, my story Bible. But Dr. Akuma was like, God, I kept putting just Akuma, like all the time. And I would have to go back to real and be like, no, just just getting some of this stuff right. I'm kind of going faster than I normally do, and those are the things that I've noticed I keep doing. What?
Okay. The Kirby Crackle. It's what's behind Captain America in this picture.
Oh yeah,
It's called the Kirby Crackle.
that's kind of cool. Well, that's
Black.
annoying.
Little black dots like that.
I may have to. Well, I may not have a first name for her. That's kind of funny. Although I still thought it was
Somebody is
Caitlin.
selling a limited edition print of Kirby Crackle for $200.
Oh dear Lord, that was. Yeah, I found a note for myself. That's always good. Can't remember your own names. And yeah, her first name's kind of weird.
How long have you been working on the story, though?
I don't know, like a week or two. And I don't ever.
The Kirby Crackle. Only $200.
It's just a pink ball of a video game character with an MD. Nice.
Yeah, see, what I was thinking, another thing I was thinking about that is that, what kind of doctor is she? Because she's acting like Troy and not like Bones.
Well, again, it's not supposed to be Star Trek. I
No,
don't
but
want
they're two different
Bones.
kind of doctors, dude. I'm using that as an example so that I could just lay them out quickly and you can go, oh, okay.
I'm
You can
saying
just go,
she's
yeah,
the one
that's
that
what it's
deals.
supposed to be like.
She's,
You're an
she's the
asshole.
one that talks about stuff in the medical bay, and she's the one that sedates people. I'm assuming that means medical.
She's talking about the mental states of people. And that's
My doctor talks to me about my mental state.
so that he can refer you to another doctor
If need
because they're all
be.
in league.
I'm simply saying that, you're a trained medical professional can talk about someone's mental state. There's a physical condition there too. It's chemical. Like, it's all good.
Okay, it didn't strike me like that though.
Okay.
So I'm just mentioning it because it didn't strike me like that.
I mean,
I know
like
you're
going into
not trying
shock.
to do
And,
Star Trek. I'm just using that as a basic example because I can't think of any other thing right now. Well,
That's fine.
maybe Deep Space Nine or one of them.
It's the
I
same
really
thing.
do watch that have, you know, that type of crew setup.
Ugh. I wondered about that too, Jake. Jake said, I wonder if when we get that far in the future, there won't be sufficient support in AI and other technology to enable a medical professional to cover a wider range of requirements than they do today. I think that seems very possible.
I think that's something to be afraid of.
Oh.
Doctors can already screw your lives up. With pretty much nothing.
Oh, Jake's really writing a big comment now.
Okay.
Well, it's going to have to be split in two. As humans, we have this limitation now where we typically have to go really deep in one area, or we have to be really general. If we can concentrate a sufficient amount of support for our human who has to make the assessments, they might get the best of both worlds.
What?
As humans, we have this limitation now where we typically have to go really deep in one area, or we have to be really general. If we can concentrate,
We have to be really what? General?
general.
Oh yeah, okay.
If we can concentrate a sufficient amount of support for a human who has to make the assessments, it might get the best of both worlds. Uh-oh. And now there's more. The deep specialists will still exist, but they'll be running the experiments and feeding the AIs and whatnot. The doc in the field will be a generalist who gets support to help them out. Interesting. I can see that. Typing in 200 characters sucks.
So Jake, you said your kids are going to school tomorrow? You're starting? That's where Eli is, and he's all psyched about it.
Jake said the 200 character limit is saving us from his brain dump.
Huh?
Jake said, not that you need more from me, mind you, the 200 character limit is probably saving you right now from an endless brain dump that comes as fast as my fingers can make it. The college kids are in school, the younger ones are all starting tomorrow.
Yeah, Eli's starting tomorrow. Psyched. Very psyched.
You guys start so late. Man. Like, I'm ready for my first midterm. Okay, but I'm in Indiana. It's not that west or that south.
It is. Depending
Midwest.
on who you're talking to, though.
Well, it is to
You're
the west
pretty
of you
close.
guys.
You're pretty close to, what, Tennessee, right?
What?
You're pretty close to Tennessee?
Well, there's a whole nother state between us and them, but yeah.
There is.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
Missouri?
Kentucky,
Kentucky.
Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I promise.
no,
You
no.
cross the Ohio,
I
you'll be
believe
in
you. You
Kentucky.
live there. But like I lived in Tennessee for a while, and I know that, like I said, it's really odd that you're in Marion because I knew some kids in Michigan that were from Marion, and that was like a really weird place to just happen to know people.
Wow.
You know, it was like a really strange coincidence because Marion is not a big place.
No, it is not.
And
It is a
at
very
least
strange
not
town.
on anything I saw anyway.
Like I'm pretty okay with this is where I'm going to be probably for the rest of my life, but it's just one of the like I grew up in Indiana and I never went to Marion until I got a job interview here. There was no reason to come here until I had a job interview. And, you know, I went to Ball State, which is, you know, like 40 minutes away. I lived in Syracuse. That's like 90 minutes away. I mean, it's just wasn't like I was all that far off. I mean, going from Syracuse down to Muncie, you pass the town. Well, 69 will pass the town, and never ever went here. Oh goodness.
Well, only you can change that, right?
Yeah, only you have that power. Ugh.
Maybe you can convince your father-in-law. Probably not that. I'll just stop there. I definitely understand that type of obligation. So.
That's true. It's not only you. There's that, you know, second nation of children you have. When they say be fruitful and multiply, I think of you, Jake. So,
What? What?
I said when they say be fruitful and multiply, I think of Jake.
Yeah, but that's Old Testament. I don't know. I guess that's where we differ because, you know, I don't think of Jake when I think about multiplying. That would kind of kill it.
I'm done multiplying. Thank you very much.
Well, apparently I'm done multiplying too, but I can still try. I don't have to use a calculator or count on my fingers.
Let's do a factorial. Oh, good. Oh, goodness. And go exponential. All by yourself, too. You and your wife. Oh, bless her heart. There are prison sentences shorter than what she's been pregnant. So, oh well. That's actually one of the things that Rhonda she feels worse about it than I do, but there were complications. There were complications with Thaddeus, and so she had to have a hysterectomy after him. She would have liked to have had, I think, one or two more, but whatever. I look at the two I have.
I have as many as God intended me to.
Well,
You know, like it's always been my theory. So like, if whatever comes, comes. And
Yeah.
there's not one that I regret. You know, I regret.
You have to pay for shipping, Jake. Oh, Lord. We're just starting to look at, you know, like the oldest one of mine just got his license to drive, so this is his junior year. So we're, you know, beginning to see that moment where he says bye.
Mine and Amanda's oldest just got a ticket for driving without a license.
Yeah.
We've been telling him not to, but he don't freaking listen. So it's just kind of funny in light of what you just said.
Oh, that's the thing.
I didn't realize that when you were telling me that he was going for his license and all that.
Oh.
That was something that I was told after. Otherwise, I'd have thrown that in much earlier.
Jake, you might get a kick out of this. A couple weeks ago, the wife was stranded in Ohio, in the middle of nowhere, with the boys, and she called AAA, and AAA said they'd send out a tow, but they could only authorize the driver and one other person to go with the tow truck. So my wife was like, well, which one of my children would you like me to leave behind on the side of the road? To which, when she was telling me this, I just was like, well, I guess the boys will find out which one is your favorite.
So that reminds me, like, when Kate was about, I think, 3.5, 4 years old, bill collector called from the hospital saying that we owed them X amount of money, even though it was supposed to have been covered.
Yeah. And
she's like, no, you understand that it's already covered. And then they kept on her, and she's like, all right, come take her. It stops the bill collectors right off. We were working, her dad did butchered deer during deer season. Yeah. And so we're butchering deer, and she's packaging them and cutting them up, processing them. Not cutting them up, packaging and wrapping them, processing them. And she had a bill collector call too, and she's all like, I can't talk right now, there's bodies on the floor. Amanda's always been creative like that. Should have seen the form that when we filled out, who could pick our kids up. Who do you not want picking your kids up? Pirates, very many, very crowds. We had a huge list of people we didn't want picking up our kids. I'm sure they were surprised.
Yes, Jake, 6 a.m. does come very early. I agree.
Depends on how you look at it. For me, usually it comes late.
Well, you know, it comes right after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But about an hour before 7. You know, give or take.
Hey, you know, when I was younger, you couldn't convince me that 6 o'clock happened twice a day.
Oh, yeah? Because you were never awake for one of them?
Right.
See, my parents...
No, that's a myth. That was something hung over from school days.
My parents were crazy. And, like, up until I was 9, I had a bedtime of 8 p.m. And it was like, then they would get upset because I'd wake up around 5 a.m. And I'm like, that's 9 hours of sleep. Like, what do you want? If you don't want me to wake up at 5, let me stay up later. For some reason, that was not part of the cards. It was just like, nope. Like, well, then expect me to be up around 5 a.m. I don't know what to tell you.
And now you know what their problem was.
Oh, because my oldest boy, didn't matter how late we let him stay up, he was always up at 7 a.m. and he was always hungry.
Now Eli was kind of like that too. He's got like 2 alarms set on 2 different devices because he don't want to miss school or the school bus or whatever. And we're like, go to sleep. You still have an hour before you have to wake up. I've never seen a kid so excited for school.
Oh, that's cool.
I say kid, but technically he's not even a kid anymore. Although he'll never really be an adult.
Yeah.
Or at least a self-reliant one. Maybe. Yeah, God bless you. Thanks for stopping by. Nice to have you. I think this brush is a little bit big for what I'm trying to do.
Oh.
Well, I'm kind of doing some hair there, so. I really, really love this brush. This is one of the 2 that I really, really love. So are you tutoring like every day, or?
As much as I possibly can. Like, we have a faculty meeting on Thursday, and I'm annoyed because that cuts into my tutoring time. But I mean, if I do morning and afternoon, it's $150 extra a day. And, you know, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't pass that up. Like, that's just.
I can't say as I blame you because I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not normally a whole bunch. I mean, most nights I've had somebody come and ask for help for something, which I can help with just fine.
Well, it's something that you're already doing because you love it anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, my rule used to be I would stay until 5 p.m. or the last student, whichever one came first. Like, I just didn't care. Like, I just told them, if you need to stay late, let me know, and I'll stay late. Don't dilly-dally. You know, get there before my children get there, so that I know that someone's going to show up, and I'll stay however, until 5 p.m. So now I do that.
Don't waste my time.
Right, but now I get paid to do it, and I'm like, oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, waste my time.
Yeah, waste my time all you want. I don't care. I get paid. So, like this morning,
you get paid whether if someone shows up or not, or
yeah, as long if I'm there, they pay.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Like, I was wondering if it was you like had to be actually doing something
There is some
related to it.
accountability, but because you don't know when students are going to show up, like you just like I can tell you right now, as it gets closer to the end of the 9 weeks, like right around the end, like that 8th or 9th week or so, it'll get packed morning and afternoon. Like I know it will. You know, kids finally care about their grades because the report cards are going to come out in a week, and therefore they got to get their grades. So that's okay. But as is right now, you don't know. Like sometimes you got a kid that's in cross country, and the coach is going to check his grades, so he has to get him up or whatever, You know,
Right.
but you don't know when they're going to show. And most of them would prefer to show in the afternoon. That's when it's busiest. But they open it in the morning, so I'm like, well, I'll be there. I don't care. I guess I'll, as much as I can. Now, the nice thing is if I decide not to go in, I don't get penalized or anything. I just lose the money that I would have gotten. So if there's any day where I'm just completely dragging my butt around, I can just not go in that morning. But, I mean, every time I just think about, oh my gosh, I don't want to. If I miss a day of work, it's not just my sick day that I'm giving up; it's $150. So I have a hard time turning that down. Like last year, if the boys had a doctor's appointment, I took them because I had sick days. Like my paycheck stayed, the same. Whereas if Rhonda took them, she was losing pay, right? But this year, I'm like,
Your days are worth more.
yeah, like I can't miss. Got to be there. Got to get that money. Plus, it factors into my retirement because they take your top 5 years and they average them, and that's what your retirement's based on. So,
nice.
This is going to probably be one of my top earning years of all time. And I want it as high as possible so that I can get, paid more.
Yep, totally makes sense.
Now, come April, when I've been doing this all year long, we'll see how much I really care about the money. I'm sure there will be some day where I'm just like, yeah, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. But as much as I can, I just want to, make the money and pay off my bills and all that kind of stuff.
So I think next or Saturday, I'm gonna start the drawing process on the next warrior painting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean they gave me the go ahead, so I'm really thinking this time it's going to be summer. Or, yeah, summer. I was kind of saving the idea of summer for when it was really cold in the winter. You know, because give me an excuse to speak that. I think there's a very limited number of people who are interested in this.
What'd you say?
I said I think there's a very limited number of people who are interested in this. Everybody wants to see more comic style or comic base or fantasy idea. Really. It's kind of always felt like a conceit to me anyway. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, that's kind of why I was reluctant to jump into it, is because it felt like a conceit. Like, ooh, I think I am. That's not to say I'm right. I have noticed less people comment on it. I keep forgetting to mark this after after I share stuff.
Uh, oh, goodness. Apparently, my wife has found her favorite crowbar.
Found your what?
Her favorite crowbar or pry bar, whichever.
Her favorite crowbar?
Yeah, that's right. My wife has a favorite crowbar.
That just sounds scary.
I think it sounds badass. So
Sounds scary to me.
I just like the fact that she has a favorite crowbar. I just find that amazing.
That's what makes me. That's what makes it scary. Ooh. It didn't take much weight at all. Fun when it cares.
So every other Tuesday we have a department chair meeting, and the new principal, for the first couple days at the school, like in all the meetings with students and whatnot, she kept mentioning about being professional and professionalism and making sure you're dressed professionally, blah blah blah. So that's cool, whatever. Except for normally I wear shirts like this one that have it's either school spirit or something to do with English. So it's not the most, professional looking, but it's all for school spirit and all relating to my class. And, they're custom made t-shirts that I had made for for the school. And, but I was worried about it. So whenever we have a department chair meeting, on those days I wear a button down shirt and, everything's tucked in and try to look professional.
Jacket.
And, but I mean, all it is a button-down shirt, right? I mean, that's the only big difference. And I had so many students say, "Why are you dressed up? Why are you dressed up?" I was like, "Oh gosh, that's all it takes to be dressed up." That's kind of sad.
No tweed jacket.
It's too hot for that. I got one. I mean, I think think it comes with your teaching license for English.
Or history too.
Yeah.
Then you've got to put on a fedora, and when they say, "Why are you so dressed up?" just tell them that you're Indiana Jones Day.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Indiana Jones animated thing?
No.
Huh.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
I guess it's a fan thing that it's the Adventures of Indiana Jones.
Oh, okay.
It's an animated short with a bunch of stuff Indiana Jones related in it. You watch the whole wide world yet?
What?
Did you watch the whole wide world yet?
No.
It's the story of Robert E. Howard. It's got Vincent D'Onofrio and Renee Zellweger.
Nope.
Did you watch the Last Voyage of the Demeter?
Not yet. I haven't
I
had time.
did. I did.
I know. You said you would have liked it better on a big screen.
Yes, it's definitely one of those ones that you'd enjoy much better on big screen because, well, obvious reasons, because it's on a sailing vessel and you're looking at the seas that are rough seas and all this stuff. That's always much better on the big screen. Surround sound and
That's one thing I might have to invest in. Is
envelops you into the scene, you know.
we have a pretty good sized television, but I don't have we don't have surround sound. I've never went for it, but I was thinking maybe I should, because there was, I don't know if you ever heard of the band Home Free.
No.
Okay, well I wouldn't really necessarily expect it, but they're an a cappella group that does mainly country stuff, but they've done other things. And they were on a TV show several years ago called Sing Off. And
So it's kind of like the Pentatonics or whatever.
yeah, but country. I mean, that's just kind of what it is. But they did Ring of Fire, and when their bass sang the last note, I mean, it's super, super low. And we had a TV that couldn't even register the note. It just can't reach that low. And my big TV will do it, but it's not as good as, like, you can just tell it's not very strong. And I'm like, But I mean, really, how often do you have notes that deep? So, it's kind of like, do I really need surround sound? But
Well, if
now
you
that I
want
got
to
that,
watch the movie and be immersive in it, it definitely helps. But
right.
my problem with movies, I guess maybe, and it's just me, is that they get really, really loud with the booms and bangs and all that shit. And then when they talk, it's like, what did he say?
Yeah. Christopher Nolan's terrible about some of that. When I saw Oppenheimer, like, there was something, I don't even think the theater speakers could handle it. And it was just rough. Wow. Okay. So that's why, if I'm again, my TV is pretty darn large, and yeah, if I had surround sound some of that's like, oh, do I really need to go to the movies? At that point, I'm going for the popcorn, which is god awful expensive.
The uncomfortable seats, right?
Yeah, the seats aren't bad.
And other people talking.
Well, see, I was talking to my boy about that once. Because he's like, yeah, when you go to the theater, like, everyone's there to watch a movie. Well, it's just, when you're at home, people are walking through your, the living room, and they're asking you, hey, did you put this in the laundry? Like, they have other things that they're worried about, whereas everyone in the theater is kind of there to watch the movie. So,
or heckle it.
But
I've seen like all kinds with it. I mean, I usually go to watch the movie and I try to shut up throughout the whole movie, unless it's something based on source material I know and they're really getting it wrong. And it's all I can do not to walk out of the theater because they're idiots.
Oh.
But that's rare because they don't really go to the movies anymore because of that.
Well,
plus I can watch that stuff at home and pause it.
Yeah, you can pause, you can rewind if you need to.
Yep, and like now I own The Last Voyage of Demeter. Because it was just as cheap to buy it
as to rent it,
as to take two people to go see it.
Wow.
They definitely made it. They definitely represented most of the different types of people. Stupidly, but they did. The main character is a black guy in the early 1800s who is a doctor.
Oh, that happened a lot, sure.
Oh, yeah. And that was the thing, like, I was a doctor, but no one would accept me because of my color. And then there was a Chinese doctor that was, well, Asian, so I shouldn't say Chinese, Asian, who was very Christian and also the cook.
Okay.
And one of the girls that was one of the brides of Dracula, I guess you could say. Not really, but like she had been bitten and she was in one of the boxes. Knows what he is and is warning everybody bad stuff's going to happen, but doesn't tell anybody what he is.
Nice.
And there's two major things that are predictable. One is that if you know, then you're going into it knowing that nobody's supposed to live. Because that was the point of that chapter in Dracula.
That comes in, no one's alive, and yeah.
Right, because it told that part of the story through the captain's log, right?
Right.
Now, there wasn't really a whole lot. I don't think they explored the characters as much as they could have for what was there, but they had pretty much every race they could get on there. Apparently, it's not cultural appropriation or whatever if it's somebody playing a different uh, different. I want to say white, but I can't say that. I don't know what you'd call it. Not really Caucasian, but kind of like what Romania. Romania is not Mexico, you know.
Right.
I mean, despite those, it was okay. Nothing that everybody wants to go see it for happens until the last third or so of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Mostly, it's the interaction between the crew and choosing the crew and making discoveries. That's one thing I do not like about most vampires slash werewolves slash that type of horror stuff.
Yeah.
Is that the characters, none of them have ever heard of fucking vampire, you know? And that's crap, you know? What was a big deal about Dracula was it was like the first vampire story. It wasn't, it was the second, but it was the first vampire story critically that showed a vampire as something other than just a grave digger and carrion eater.
Right.
Because they showed Dracula as kind of a gentleman type. That is the second story, though. Did you know that? That wasn't the first one.
No.
The first one was started by Lord Byron. And it was finished by a friend of his. I don't remember his name. It's Doctor something. But he was present for the Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, Lord Byron Swiss weekend.
Oh.
And he finished that story, and it's on Project Gutenberg. So, you know, if you haven't read it and you're into vampires, you might be really interested. I think vampires are overrated. But I wanted to see what they were going to do with Dracula, and I'm not sure how to feel about it.
Ugh.
I definitely liked the special effects that were employed. So I'd say, you know, if you're renting it, it's definitely worth the money to rent. Check it out. You might like it better than me, obviously, because I'm that kind of guy. But I don't regret watching it. My wife was bored with shit. But to be honest, she usually falls asleep in the first 2 minutes of the movie anyway. It has to be like true stories of wives murdering their husbands or serial killers or some shit to keep her awake. Or Magic Mike or something like that.
Oh.
Leave it to me to think a Moravian star got with. Means that they're here. Oh, most of them. so strange what movies I want to watch and which ones I don't. It takes me forever sometimes to watch something that everybody else has already watched.
So there was this publication that was called A Thousand Faces. It was all for superhero fiction. And I had written a couple stories, and they took them. And a couple of them were about a character that I called the Tombsman. And it kind of made me laugh because I had never really thought of him as being a vampire character, but that's what the editor described it as. And then I was like, oh yeah, I guess it kind of fits. You know, when you're too close to it, you don't realize what you're doing, and it's like, oh yeah, I did basically make a vampire. I mean, he doesn't suck blood, but about everything else he does. So.
He sucks everything else?
Well, it's just nice. No, he was cursed, and if he touched you, he'd just drain all of your energy and kill you. So he was. My idea was, and I think Marvel had this character called the Scourge, I think, and they had a series of comics that were just lists of characters that had been killed, but you'd get like a profile picture of the character, and then you might get a few couple small shots, like panels from various comics, but then it would also have like their biography. So like I learned how to, like I took those and studied how they drew them. So I thought that was great. Like that was I thought they were useful for that, but also there are all kinds of stories that you're not, especially where I was, it was hard to get comics. So I could kind of get exposed to storylines that I hadn't been able to read on my own. And there's one guy, I'm positive his name was the Scourge. They would talk about like some bar that the criminals would hang out in, and this guy would pop up and just shoot them all. And it was kind of like Marvel's way of clearing the deck. Kind of, but it wasn't really meant to. I mean, the guy had no storyline. He just pops up randomly and gets rid of characters, basically. He was like, I mean, he really was just there to get rid of dumb characters. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. So I thought I'd make a character kind of, he's just using guns, but I was like, all right, let's make a character that can kill Superman. So if you need your character to die, my character is the guy that doesn't. Just, that was kind of the starting off point, and everything else kind of went from there. But it was fun to write. I thought it was kind of funny because you were talking about how the Empire is kind of boring. And then I started thinking, because it's been a while since I sold those. I mean, a while.
Well, yeah, I've got something vampiric, but they are, like, I mean,
that's fine.
What's new? What's new in Vampire Land? I think to make vampires new again, you'd have to make them old. You'd have to make them like they were originally. So they're basically zombies.
I don't know. I mean, what was that movie? It had Ethan Hawke in it. Like Daywalkers or something like that. I mean, I know that's what they call Blade, but it was something like that, where vampires had completely taken over.
It was a spin-off.
Well, I mean, the vampires in that movie had completely taken over. Human beings are basically cattle.
Yep, that's not new though.
I mean, it was, well, I get, but just to see it on that scale, and then the vampires are discovering a problem. They're running out of blood.
Yep, that's not new.
Okay.
What the hell is that? There's a book. It's a alternate future book or alternate history book. Empire of Blood, something like that.
Shut up.
That's even a more massive scale. That's what I'm just saying. There was a series of it, so it's not new. Nothing Hollywood puts out is going to be really new. What's that?
It was called Daybreakers.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about the Empire of Blood, I think, is the book that I was talking about.
I
had a friend that actually loved that whole series, and the most original vampires that I have read is the Necroscope series. Hands down, and it's my favorite, really, because when you think of them that way. It adds something to it. Or at least it did for me, anyway. Have you read that series?
No, but you just gave me an idea.
Huh?
You just gave me an idea. Like, yeah, I might have to write this one down.
If you haven't read Necroscope, you need to. The first book of Necroscope, that's my favorite ending. And that type of fiction. I think I'm going to get this done today. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to do the once over on that band. I'm even kind of liking the fact that I cover up the line work with the paint on this now. I was concerned with that because the last time I tried to paint on Bristol board, it didn't, just so thin. That contest that I posted, that I was actually posting with you on Discord,
Yeah.
the guy that runs that's talking about, you can win and maybe you'll win a place in this shared universe and all that. He had already offered me to write in that shared universe. It's actually one of the places where I first started thinking about Snargy.
See, that's fun. I mean, I know it says high fantasy, but
What do you mean?
I mean, the contest is.
Well, I had a big discussion with him because of that.
Oh yeah.
And basically, he considers anything that's fantasy to be high fantasy.
Okay. Well,
because I brought up sword and sorcery and heroic fantasy, which generally are considered low fantasy, and somebody else in the comments was like, "How dare you call that low fantasy?" And like, dude, it's not that I created this term. It's called low fantasy because there's not a high amount of magic and magic system in it. And I actually like that form better, which is why I asked in the first place, Because I like the idea of fighting monsters without having to worry about describing the magic and the magic system, which is such a big thing these days.
I just wasn't sure about, because the first three things that are listed are military science fiction, military fantasy, and military thriller.
Yeah, because it's a military guy.
Well, it's just
military.
I don't.
That's really what he's looking for to write in his shared universe is military.
So that's the thing. I mean, yeah. So I kind of got the feel that he wanted military stuff, and I'm like, I don't do military stuff.
Yeah, but it's not just military stuff, but yes, you do. You just don't think of it as military stuff.
Oh, you mean like certain current works?
Well, who's the bad guy in the novel?
Yeah, okay, but
You know,
I don't think of that as military fiction.
But yeah, no, because military fiction isn't military fantasy.
Okay, that's what I meant. I don't think of it as military fantasy.
So, do you think of Ender's Game as military sci-fi? Because it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of have to say that it is.
Yeah, it is. There's no have to about it. That's what it is. It's just a different angle.
Yeah, that.
You didn't say you couldn't take a different angle.
Well, I get that. And when it's, I mean, because those word counts are mighty appealing. 10,000 to 15,000.
And that's exactly why I was posting it to you and sharing it with you, because you are like-minded with me. Like, it's easy for me to write longer stuff, you know?
Oh gosh, yes.
It's much harder for me to try to write shorter shit.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of those things. That story that you read yesterday or the day before, or whatever.
The Sunday story.
Yeah. Like, I originally aimed for 4,000 words because there was a market that was looking for stuff. And of course, I blew past that. Now I'm going to blow past 5,000, I'm sure. But some of the problems that I think Jake had, which I kind of like, Jake mentioned one about how it seems kind of abstract, almost floating headish, but not quite. And he's like, I think you need to ground your ship a little bit more. And I'm like, and I've kind of thought that too, but I was trying to keep everything as small as I could because I was trying to fit that 4,000 word count, and that's not going to work. So the nice thing is that now I know I can go back through and add my
dumb
stuff.
Question. Do you know what the end of the story is?
Oh yeah. I know what the end of the story is.
Okay.
Why?
Because it makes a difference.
Well, yeah, but why? Why were you wondering if I knew?
Because of what? Are you aiming for that 4,000 word count? Is
Not
that really
anymore.
what you want?
I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, I thought I could do it.
I'm asking if that's what you want. Like, if that's what you really want. Or you just like the story and I want to finish the story out.
Right now,
I fall into that trap all the time. Like, I start off wanting to write to market or whatever, but then I quickly fall in love with the characters and I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Something like that.
Like, the closest actually that I've stayed to any of that is this script. Because the only reason I think that I've managed to be able to do that with this script is because it's a 20 pages is normal for a comic book. So I can do that with the script because it doesn't have to be one comic book. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so the other far be it for me to try to tell you how to do 4,000 words or whatever, but if you know the end, I'm also painting. If you know the end, the rule of thumb is to start as close to the end as you can. So if you know the end, how close can you start to that end? Can you start 4,000 words from that end? That wasn't where you were expecting me to be going, was it?
No, I mean, it's an interesting take on it. I just.
Well, that's what they say. You're supposed to start as close to the end as you can get.
Well, I get that.
I'm just wondering if you can. Can you do that? Is that possible for you to start? Because I know how it is to be restrained by words. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm totally in sympathy with you. So I don't want you to get the wrong idea of what I'm saying. But what I'm asking is that can you back up just 4,000 words? What would it be? What would it be if you only included what you need to get to the end? Then obviously that's not a question that you should answer.
Yeah, I can't answer that yet.
Well, I mean, yeah, like it's not a question you should answer anyway, because as I've discussed with those that view this, that are talking about comic books and stuff, like no matter what you're writing, if you talk too much about it, then you lose the need to write about it. I kind of believe that. I mean, obviously to a point, but
that's why you should do more dictation. You know, you talk it all out, and then it's recorded, so it's good. You just got to clean it up.
What?
I'm saying if the idea that you can talk yourself out of the story, kind of, you've told it.
Talk yourself out of the need to write this story. I saw that. So, for an example, in the Discord server, somebody asked somebody, like, first of all, this kid posts. I say kid, but he may not be a kid. This kid posts that. He posts a sketch and says, "This is my own original character." It doesn't sound like an original character to me, but you know how that is. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to discourage him, because it could quite likely turn into something more original. Anyway, some other guy was like, "Well, what's the background on that character? He looks cool." So he writes this big long paragraph about the background of that character.
Yeah.
Well, now nobody, you don't need to tell the story, you just did. That's one of the problems I find with storytelling nowadays anyway, is that nobody cares about getting to the end. Like, if they like a world or they like a whatever, they just stick with it. Oh, it's all right. Well, I want to get to the end of the story. Like, I like the characters, but maybe I want to read them in a different story. If they don't resolve anything, then I'm just reading a soap opera.
That's how I got with Terry Brooks. Just something like, I don't know. I just like.
Yeah, that's how I got with Robert Jordan, and
Robert Jordan was
Martin.
At least progressing. I mean, I guess Terry Brooks did kind of too, but a lot of it just seemed like it was the same book.
Robert Jordan?
No, Terry Brooks. Like, Robert Jordan does progress. There is a linear path.
Oh, there's a progression? Well, yeah. But after I'm 9 books and 2 million words into the story, I read that he doesn't intend to end it.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah, well, he intends to end it, but he doesn't intend to end it for all the story arcs he started. Because that's not the way things happen in real life. Well, what? You should have told us that at the beginning so that we wouldn't have to read a 150-page prologue about somebody who doesn't even not gonna have a conclusion to their issue.
Yeah.
You know, I feel sorry for Robert Jordan, Brandon Sanderson, because he had to read a million words of notes. He said there was over 1 million words in notes that to what was left. That was supposed to end in one book.
Huh.
That's why he made it a trilogy, because he couldn't do it in one book. How do you blame him, right?
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I love the Robert Jordan books. But Martin, unlike Jordan, didn't die.
Right.
Robert Jordan died. My problem with Robert Jordan's writing was that, well, besides the fact that he was writing 150-page prologues, which is almost a novel in itself, about characters that he probably wasn't going to end their stories anyway. But instead of finishing the last book, he went and wrote a prequel. And it was supposed to be the beginning of a trilogy that was a prequel. So that's kind of my issue with that. Yeah, I love the ending to the first Necroscope book. It really took me guaranteed that I was going to finish the series. I'm going to wait for the hat to dry so that I can touch the hat again. Oh, hat band. Because the hat band needs to be darker. I guess we're lighter. That could be lighter, right?
Sure. I cannot. Gosh. I mean, it's just all those brush strokes and everything. It's so, like, I watch you do this, and like half the time I'm like, what the heck is he doing? And then, like, oh. You definitely have talent, man.
I'd like
Talent,
to think it was
skill.
skill.
Okay.
Because
I'd
you know
say it's
how,
probably both.
I like to say I have a thimble full of talent. I have a little
Okay.
bit of talent. What I have is mostly skill that's based on practice and other people telling me, hey, that's not right. Try this.
Well,
You know?
I'd say it's freaking. I mean,
I appreciate it though.
oh, anyway.
Like I don't get insulted when people say you're talented or whatever, but it has a habit. People have a habit of thinking that talent doesn't come with work. You know what I mean?
Right.
And skill comes with work. That's how it's there. How many rushes can I use today?
Rich, I'm gonna have to call it a night, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to there too. I was gonna say something off stream, but
Oh well.
I guess I'll let you go because you need to crash because you got to get up for that shit tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't. And
Sorry,
I want
man.
to do a little bit more of that green.
All right. Well, I'll check you next time, man.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Definitely. Good
Peace.
night. God bless. Yeah, maybe I'll just do a little bit on the hat band by myself. Nobody's talking, so I don't know what's going on or who's watching, if anybody's watching. Or if anybody's even interested in seeing this. Somebody say something in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is this good content? Do you like this content? I mean, obviously, me and the guys do, but me and the guys are enjoying ourselves because we're just hanging out being me and the guys. Oh, well. Probably not before it. I'm not too worried about doing the black because I'm going to straighten out all that up. But you just get black. A little bit more worried about it in the gray. Yeah. Where it is. All right, I guess. Well, that's it. At least that's it for today. I'm going to darken the half band up a little bit. And some stuff I want to do in the light beam too, but it has to dry. So at a standstill. All right, to everyone that watched, thank you. If you like the content, you enjoyed the process, hit like, hit subscribe. God bless. Have a good night. Yeah.